Hello, and thank you for joining Conversations in the Nick of Time, being brought to you and sponsored by Clout. Clout, which always is looking for women, men, and individuals wanting to lead from where they are, but also understanding clout is not a bad thing. It is actually a great thing because why we all have it. It's just a matter of how are you being responsible and intentional with the use of it. Well, we are so happy to be back with you for another season. And you best believe the guests that we have lined up are absolutely phenomenal. Starting today, I have with me Miss Rhoda Banks and Miss Shannon. And we are so excited about all the great things that they're doing. I'm excited because they have not only did a number of amazing things independently, but however, the universe, God, I'll say, has brought them together and anchored them to do some work. I know it's going to impact this community and then beyond this community. It's just a matter of the word getting out. And that's what doing today to intentionally get the word out in regards to this great things that they're doing. But I want to start with you, Miss Rhoda Banks. How are you, darling?
Good. I'm good, Nikki. It's so nice to be back on your show.
Yes, yes. And it's been a minute that we've connected. I think the last time that we were in physical space together was at a conference.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
And
I attended your conference where I was greatly inspired. And also, I did a community event where you came and supported us and poured into other people through Dress for Success commentary. So, thank you for
it's wonderful, wonderful. Now you've had a little movement going on. You
that.
author,
Yes,
um,
yes.
human resource expert, now diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging. We're gonna get all the DEIAB
Right.
what we're looking at right now.
Yes.
Guru practitioner. Now you are also now producing events for women,
Yes.
and empowerment. The list goes on and on. And then I saw you giving your talk.
Yes, at the That's What She Said show. It was the first one in St. Louis. It was originated in Champaign, Illinois,
Uh-huh.
and they sponsored doing it in St. Louis. So the first year, inaugural year that we did it in St. Louis, I had the great honor of speaking, which is um, that's part of our story with Shannon Norman and I.
Okay,
Shannon was
the name was familiar. But I
a
didn't put two and two together.
Shannon was a sponsor for that event. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. You
Mm.
can't forget the name of her company. So wonderful. So tell us a little bit about what you've been doing in your journey personally, so that we can lead up to the why behind this upcoming event.
So I'm very intentional about reinventing myself and learning and pouring into others. So as life progresses, I'm always seeking opportunities to do more, give more. And in order to be a blessing, I first have to be blessed. So I'm always looking to learn so that I have something to give others. So I joined a new organization about 2.5 years ago, American Ag Credit, part of the farm credit system. Never thought I would be in this space. It's an organization that was part of a system that our government started over 100 years ago to make sure that farmers and ranchers had a means for financing
Okay.
because they feed the world. So that's pretty important. And I don't think the average human thinks about how food gets from where it grew to their table. And in this space, I've had the opportunity to go out to farms, meet farmers. Our board of directors are ranchers and farmers. We're big in California in the winery industry and space, timber, beef, cattle, pork, dairy, all the portfolio of commodities. And so I am the executive head of culture and inclusion at this organization. And while they are very passionate about this work, they're
Mhm.
very early in their journey. And I'm helping bring them along and understand that our North Star in this body of work, it's all about belonging.
Okay.
That's what we are trying to create, a center and space where all people feel like they belong and that we welcome and embrace all and celebrate all people. And so we're just starting that journey, and it's fun work. I like to call it fun work. Also, we're focused on our culture and making sure we maintain the specialness of it, because we're now have employees in 40 states. And before COVID, they were, more so in 4 states. And so
Okay.
now the bulk of our workforce is working remotely. So there's an intentional effort focused on ensuring we have community and connection. So I'm leading the efforts behind all of that. So yeah, since we've last talked, there's been lots of change in my life, specifically the job. When we talked before, I had launched my book Moments, and since then, I'm working on a memoir. I'm also a contributing author to the Grit collection. Shannon is too, and she could speak to that. And
Okay.
I just completed a chapter on tenacity. And so I continue to learn so that I can pour into others.
Wonderful. And congratulations on Moments. Moments, I do have my copy because that goes back a little bit. And I remember getting all
Mhm.
set up to have the release out, I think in Webster Groves, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
And so then now you're a part of Grit. And
Yeah.
I love the whole concept of that formula.
Mhm.
Had a chance to be one of the contributors to a book in the
Yeah.
past. And just that model, I see it now just it's like everywhere. But and
Right.
it's a good thing because my thing is to have all those lived experiences in
Mhm.
one document,
Right.
you are bound to be like moved, impressed, rejuvenated,
Mhm.
restored in some shape, form, or fashion, right? You mentioned your focus is tenacity. What one thing could you leave us with even right now? Because that word, it can be very complex and it's almost as if we're aspiring to have that thing.
Right.
But
Right.
if
But
we
I
have it,
believe,
yeah.
and that's what I discovered in my writing. And I believe all three of us are contributing authors to one of those books.
Mhm.
Um, but when I learned about the word tenacity as I was, doing self-reflection and preparing to write, is that I had it at a very young age. And thinking about stories that illustrated and supported that, it's what helped me realize that. So I was like, wonder if we're born with that. I kind of think we are. I
I
think
feel
that
it.
right. I think that it strengthens over time, but we definitely have it as part of our survival instinct. And that's what I learned in writing my chapter. And my title is very unique and clever. I grew
Oh,
up.
you don't have to give it away.
Okay, because I wanted everybody to know when it come out, I want you to get the book. So I grew up in the ghetto, so what? And that's my title. And the essence of the stories are centered around tenacity and further illustrating that we have it and the benefit of leveraging it for good.
Love it.
Mhm.
Absolutely love it.
Yes.
And there is so much education that could happen around there. And I know Shannon, Miss Shannon Norman is who's coming up next.
Well,
I know with your space of coaching and consulting, and whether that's individually or group settings, this whole idea and concept of tenacity, as we pivot to you for a moment. I know that probably has you currently rocking in your seat in regard, wanting to fill in on that. Tell us a little bit about you and the great work that you're doing.
Absolutely happy to and appreciate the invitation. Nikki, Rhoda, and I are very excited to be here. So, some about me. I have spent my entire career in human resources, and so we're over 25 years now. Just kind of fell into human resources as a non traditional student and worked multiple jobs going to school and stuck with it because it was like, oh, you know what? I like working with people. This is really cool. So I am also a coach and consultant. I have the pleasure of serving on the local ICF St. Louis chapter, International Coaching Federation, and serving currently as the president. And it's lovely to be surrounded by so many other coaches that are all at different places in their career and in this community, and figuring out how we can impact and touch more people within St. Louis in a variety of different ways. So I really enjoy that time. I really enjoy now saying that I'm an author as well. I contributed to the growth, the book on the Grit series on growth. My chapter is Goodbye Ramen Noodles. And I would say about growth, to add to the tenacity, growth is really one thing that we each can control ourselves. No matter what is happening in life around us or at us, nobody can take the ability to grow away from us. We just have to sometimes dig a little deeper and then figure out what we're learning from those moments that we're going through to make us even stronger going forward. So that chapter is what kind of pushed me to say, okay, I've also wanted to write my own book. And so I wrote Confident as a Peacock. And it includes just a real simple recipe. Okay, it's simple. However, you've got to stay committed to it to find your confidence and maintain your confidence. There you go, Rhoda.
I've got to get that copy. I've got to get that copy.
You go to Amazon. It'll be there in a day or two.
Yeah.
And then the book also goes into some detail on Accept the Compliment. And so I'm the founder of a movement, a worldwide movement, Accept the Compliment.
I love this. I love it. I'm going to interrupt you just briefly. How in the world did you narrow down? Because that's, I think, getting into this space of producing events, writing books, that creative bug goes off in us, but it's hard to niche down when all the juices are flowing, right? The creative juice. How in the world, accept the compliment? How did you land on that?
I'm so excited that you asked that, Nikki. So it was, I need to write down the timeline so I don't lose track of it. It was several years now. And I'm a faithful person. It just kind of, the Accept the Compliment just came to me, but I didn't understand the why. And actually, I'll have to ask Kathy Lambert is one of our speakers at the upcoming event that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But I was so excited. I called Kathy and I said, "Oh my gosh, I've got to tell you about this." And I just started sharing all of how this one conversation with my daughter led to another thought. And then the fun part of it was that I'm like, why do I need to do this work? Why am I having this calling? And that was hard because that took several months. I'm going to guess 3 or 4 of sitting in it because Rhoda will tell you, I'm very, very genuine. And so I'm like, if I'm going to really go out and spread this word, like I got to know more. So I was doing research and all kinds of reading. And one morning I was putting my makeup on before work and it hit me. I know why I had this passion. And so you learn more in the first chapter of Confident as a Peacock, which can be read in less than an hour of time. Very short book, straight to the point. But in a nutshell, I had one compliment that has been consistently given to me beginning as a young child. And it was about my smile. And I had a very challenging childhood. And even when that compliment came from strangers, it made me feel like I was seen and I was worthy and maybe I wasn't broken and I wasn't deserving what was happening in life at that time. And it inspired me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's it. It's so simple, but that's what I'm here for, is this, to spread this word.
And so as you're spreading, there's already a second one coming, meaning a second book, because there's the power or the ripple effect of the compliment. Or let's say the boomerang of the compliment. Because when we are kind enough to say, Rhoda, you are absolutely phenomenal. Shannon, you are absolutely just incredible. You know what that does to even say that? There's a boomerang effect. So there's no comparison. And I think when we move past that, that's when God begins to open doors, because it's almost like I can trust you with this, right?
Right.
And it's, as I'm listening to you, like, guess what? When someone tells you it empowers you, you kind of straighten up and you're like, somebody saw me. They saw me.
It frees you. It really does free you.
But as the recipient, but also what it does to the giver of it. Ooh, we have to go have coffee. Well, I do tea. Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
So that is probably, let's see, I don't think I missed anything. So yeah, those are the big things that I do. I would love for Rhoda and I to be able to briefly share how we came together.
Please.
So Rhoda does a really good job sharing this. So Rhoda, would you like to?
Sure. I believe all things are divine. There's no such thing as a coincidence.
Yeah.
And so Shannon, as I mentioned, was a sponsor of That's What She Said. I came to know about the show from Jennifer Bordeaux, the founder of Grit. And she said, Rhoda, the producer is looking for women to speak. And I was like, okay. And I'm so curious. And I rarely say no to things, because I believe that you just never know what's behind that door and where it could lead.
And we don't.
Right. And we're going to learn today. So I did the show. Then after the show, a couple of months, the producer said, I'm inviting all the women to a happy hour appreciation of our sponsors. So we go, and it was only a few sponsors there. Everyone didn't show up, and Shannon was one of them. And we had just a very nice conversation. Like, we quickly identified in our conversation, we shared some things, revealed that we had similar. Because remember, Shannon, I talked to you about my oldest son. You talked to me about a niece. And so that was the end of that. We didn't even exchange phone numbers. We didn't exchange LinkedIn. I just remember thinking, she's very nice. And so I introduced her to someone there that was looking to break into an HR job. And I was like, oh, Shannon's an HR executive. This is what I do. I'm introducing people, trying to make connection. And that was that. And so I left, me and my husband. The next day, I was scheduled to speak on a panel at St. Louis University's their first women conference that they did. It was their very first one. And I took my sister with me, who's very introverted. And so I announced that to the whole room, that she's very introverted. So I asked that people to come talk to her so she can feel comfortable. And so I was pulled to go do a video. And when I got back, Shannon saw me. She came to the table and she said, oh my God, Rhoda, we just met last night. And when I got home, I looked in the brochure and the book, and I saw that you were one of the speakers. She was like, oh my God, what are the odds? We just met last night at a totally different event. And now we're the very next day at the same event. And so I said, it's got to be a reason. We got to find out what that reason is. We didn't know we were going to find out that day. So she gifted me a journal, one of her accepted compliment journals. And then I went on to go be part of this video. And when I got back, Roche, my sister, said, Rhoda, you need to talk to Shannon. I was like, why? She said she came over and talked to me. And you always talk about doing a women's retreat. And she was sharing, she has the same vision. I was like, I need to find her. So
The
we went,
one who doesn't want a fellowship.
right. So
Sounds
I
like
went
that
and
connects the
found,
dots.
right, connecting. I
Yeah.
went and found Shannon. I said, oh my God, this must be why we are connected. Are you interested in partnering? No hesitation. We didn't even know each other for real. No hesitation. She said yes. And it took off from there. And I feel like we both complement each other. We're both drivers, but she's even more of a driver than I am. I don't even know how she get all the things done. She makes me feel guilty. Like I'm like, well, Shannon, I need to do something. Let me up my game. So if I can imagine being around her even more because I can see that she can pull people up. And it has been a blessing from God. So the journey starts, and I am a dreamer. So I like to take people on magic carpet rides. And I can tell you if we start ideating about something, I'm gonna start really, really big. And Shannon is so kind, and she brought me back down because I was like, I want it to be a 2-day retreat. I want people to spend the night, and we want it at this retreat center. And I want the evening event to be a pajama party, and I want all these different breakouts, and they get to choose their journey. And then one of the events is a bonfire, and I see multiple bonfires, and each bonfire has a lead facilitator, and people are bonding and talking and da da da. So and she went along
And
with me
she
for a
and she,
minute.
she let you go on, didn't she?
She went with me. We started looking at retreat centers. We went to Mercy. I was like, this not it. We went to Innsbruck. Beautiful. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Super expensive, by the way, but beautiful ground. And
Yes.
while we were there, she said, have you considered, since this is our first year, maybe we just do one day and then create a following.
It's
And
full.
then, and it was the way she did it that I get so tickled at myself every time I think about it. Because I was like, I even do that at work. They have to reel me in till they be like, okay, brother, we need you to scale. Because I killed myself making it happen
Yeah.
too. So appreciate that about her. And she reeled me in and say, let's make it more manageable. And it has grown from there. This is our first event. This won't be our last. And I think we already are creating a buzz. We've the Lord has blessed us with 6 sponsors, which is amazing in my opinion. And they're not like small sponsors. These are big name sponsors. And Shannon has been tracking how many tickets we sold, but in total, I think what Shannon, we're probably going to have up to 60 women there with the speakers.
I can easily say 60 at this point, and our tickets are on sale until September 28th.
Mhm.
So very, very hopeful and likely that we will be over that amount. But it's been an exciting journey.
Yes.
Um,
Tell me a little bit from your perspective, Shannon, this whole meeting of the minds, and then you having to kind of reset the minds.
well, Rhoda's such a better storyteller than I am. And it's so accurate in that she had shared that Roche was kind of an introvert, and Rhoda got pulled away. I wasn't sure where Rhoda had gone at the time, but I was sitting at a table and I kind of turned around and I saw Roche at a table all by herself. And I'm like, there's so many people in this room. Nobody should be at a table by themselves. And so I went back and I sat down and started talking with her. And I could tell whenever I shared the idea of a women's retreat that like her eyes lit up, like, and so then when I stopped talking, she said, you should really talk to Rhoda because that really sounds just like what she wants to do. And then it hit me in the moment. It was like, I wonder. And I'm like, what are the chances of that?
Right.
Yeah.
So then we connected on it, and just immediately, I think we both felt the energy.
Mhm.
And when we have Women Unite to Ignite the retreat that's coming up on October 13th, so
Mhm.
much of it is around networking and the power of that, and mentorship and sponsorship and a number of things. But Rhoda and I have a story to be able to share, like how networking like that and opening yourself up in one conversation can lead to something as significant as what we're doing together. And I love Rhoda's big ideas, and she's so energizing. And I was right there, like, and we were looking at how you can order personalized pajamas for every woman. I mean, and she's like, and my one requirement is that we have to be able to have these bonfires, and so that knocked, a one or two places out. And then it was like, wait a minute, maybe we grow into this. And she was so receptive of that message of, let's just start smaller, and we can work our way up, and we'll get to that point.
Right.
I love, and that's why I wanted to hear both sides, because there's some lessons in here that are resonating, and as I lean into your story, one, you showed up where you were supposed to be, and even though you didn't know each other, there was still a connection that was formed in a brief amount of time, but there was something that sparked from the first meeting to where you had this enthusiasm on the next day, and then being able to have someone who is an introvert and sitting at a table by herself be the one to cause the two to come together.
Right.
So this tells me that somebody, meaning you, Rhoda, have been talking about a North Star or a dream. And you told the right person. And sometimes we won't tell people because we hold everything close to our chest. One, we don't believe it can happen. Two, well, no, who am I to think I can do X, Y, Z? Three, that'll never happen. Like it just flat out won't happen. Like I'm just dreaming. Like you said, I'm a dreamer. Didn't say you were a doer. You said you were the dreamer. But we need the dreamer. The dreamer is important. To even get us into action. But then you end up being led, Shannon, to share something in a brief moment. You didn't know this person. In a brief moment, but she was able to connect the dot. That here's a dreamer, and here's somebody who's saying they're gonna do. You bring both components together. To execute. Like that is so profound that I'm hoping that our listeners are not overlooking that. Like being, but using discernment, that you tell the right people. Somebody needs to know what the dream is. And somebody needs to know what I'm about to do, right? I'm saying that's from Shannon's perspective, like, oh no, this is what I'm about to do. And so, but that alone, I think a lot of times we quiet ourselves. And then it's kind of like, I know I went through this personally where you experience a little success in something, and then you're like, oh, you freeze. Don't move forward because you both have done so much amazing work. And then, but yet you still are moving forward to do even more greater, but it's a selflessness about this approach that you have now. It's kind of like, we're going to take our collective thought and present to you this.
My other inspiration around this is I'm on the other side of life. So I'm over 50, and I've been blessed to have people pop in and out of my life that saw something in me, encouraged me, and even helped me get to where I needed to get to. And I just really have like turned up the volume on, I want to do more of that for others, and specifically for early career people who are just starting off. There's no reason why they should have to learn by trial and error. If they're willing to learn from the wisdom of others who've already journeyed, that why not do that? So that's another inspiration. In sharing this story just today, as I'm sharing it, I was like, wow, Roche was actually listening to me.
So that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. Don't disregard, like we could pick that apart for another 2 hours. I'm a educator.
Right.
I will pick all these little lessons out of here.
Yeah.
And because it's even the why I keep coming back to this, even though I'm trying to cancel this show. No hurt or harm against anyone.
Right.
But I thought I had outgrown it. But
Mhm.
but I had to go, but going back to the why,
Mhm.
say that the why behind it. And I too am on I just recently had a meeting with my financial advisor who I've had forever. And he's like, have you begun to think about retirement? I said, not for who?
Right.
Like you're closer than you think. So, but even in that, it's like, okay, that has sparked something in me. That was just 2 weeks ago that meeting happened. And
Right.
I'm like, let me get back to my job.
Right. Right.
Let me get back on my post, which was giving people access to my network,
Mhm.
which is
Mhm.
basically because
Right.
so much out here, there's room for us all.
It is.
Then it's even more room when you can take a Rhoda and a Shannon and bring them together.
Right.
Endless possibilities.
Yes. Yes.
And I so agree with you, Nikki. And I had thought about this before, but not as much as I've been thinking about this last few minutes.
Mhm.
That speaking for myself, I wouldn't be organizing this retreat right now at this point in my life if it wasn't for me and Rhoda doing it together.
Mhm.
There's something about that unity. There's something about that we both have the same vision, and that we have each other to rely on, and text and email, which I don't know how many hundreds of those that we're up to, in phone conversations. And
Right.
like we're doing this together and uniting, and that's powerful.
Yes.
I mean, the visual alone.
Mhm.
When
Mhm.
I saw the website and I was scrolling
Yes.
through, I'm like, this is what it's going to take
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
us to move past talking
Right.
the talk, but walking the walk.
Right. And to
And
move past this stereotype that's often sometimes true that women have, and that is that we're super competitive and we're insecure about one being elevated above the other. And what we're trying to illustrate is we can come together, women unite to ignite and ignite one another. And Nikki, you've already said it. There's room for everyone. This is not a competition. So we're here to show that if we unite, the power behind unity
mm,
versus competing.
yeah, it's yeah, the timing is great for this. The need is great for this, especially when you have because being a diversity, equity, and inclusion practitioner myself, understanding the attack that
Mm,
this work is enduring at the moment.
right,
It's
right.
only going to intensify. And I think even just the two of you standing together
Mm,
and executing this vision, that alone speaks volumes.
yeah.
When
We
there's
even tried to bring other women into helping us plan it.
okay.
And that kind of like fizzled because I don't believe that's how God wanted it to unfold. And so that was even interesting to watch that process too. The other word that keeps coming up in my spirit is trust. So there was instant trust between Shannon and I. There was really no reason why she should have trusted me and none why I should have trusted her. But there's deep trust because we're dealing with financials with this. I was going through the process of buying a house. And I was like, Shannon, I can't be taking in any money right now. I don't want to trigger any issue with the loan process because we were building. She was very trusting and understanding of that. We both have invested into this. We've not settled up yet. We will, but the trust
Yeah.
to even share the vision and then to execute up on it and to get to the point where we're less than a month out from this event. And we started planning this well over a year ago.
Wow. Now, to back up just a little bit, those who are just joining us or didn't hear the intro, Rhoda Banks and Shannon Norman, they are here sharing with us, first of all, their own individual experience and areas of expertise. And then, secondary, we are here celebrating the uniting of them because they literally have walked this out for the past year. Now that I've learned this in the past year, women unite to ignite. Women unite to ignite. And if the past, 30 minutes did not prove, we had two women who came together from different sides of the track and come together to unite. And they first ignited each other.
Right.
I always say you can't give what you don't have, and you can't leave where you've not been.
Right.
So because of that, now we are here. Tell us more. October 13th. Let me just throw this in so we make sure we don't miss that. October 13th, 2023, 8:30 in the morning to 5:30 p.m. There's a full day set at the Cheshire, and they have did a massive renovation, so it's absolutely updated and beautiful over there.
Beautiful.
But tell us about, what is this? Why should people even care? And men, you can also be buying tickets, certificates for someone who
that wants to invest in themselves. This is a form of self-care, in my opinion. Shannon, if you want to do the rundown on what they can expect for the day, and then I'll add wherever.
And what is it though? It's a non-traditional retreat.
Non-traditional. And what do we mean when we say non-traditional? It's experiential. There's not one power. You won't even be able to find a way to show a PowerPoint at this event. There's no death by PowerPoint happening. It's all hands-on, conversational, organic, reach out and touch, sort of like we're having this conversation now. Every speaker has been given that agenda, that was one of our requirements and expectations, and it's very interactive.
It will be very, very interactive, multiple opportunities throughout the entire day of networking. We, of course, have to have some fun. So there's going to be some pretty amazing prizes given out throughout the day. But we're going to kick it off by some storytelling with Rhoda and my story, and how this day even unfolded. Some of we shared today, but we'll go into a little more detail. We're going to have Rhonda Gray up speaking on identity shift. So how to increase your influence, impact, and income. We're going to have Adrienne Bracey on visualizing success. So harnessing the power of vision boards to really shape your future. We're going to have a panel that Rhoda will be moderating with Christy Ryder, Debbie Watson, Sylvia Owens, and Anna Abernathy. And that topic is going to be on cultivating growth through mentorship and sponsorship. And then we have a very powerful session on self-care and leadership effectiveness that Kathy Lambert and Debbie Josendale will be leading us through. So they'll be teaching us some on human design and Reiki, emphasizing the significance of self-care for our personal growth and healing, and how to incorporate those practices into enhancing your leadership effectiveness. And then we have Shirley Repta, who will be digging into overcoming trauma. And this is going to be a very powerful session. And that's why it's going to be towards the end of the day. So it's really from surviving to thriving from trauma. And then I'm going to share some on accept the compliment to close the day out. And then we'll finish up about 4:30 and we'll transition into a happy hour. That will go.
Yes. And we have some fun added events happening at this experience. One is we have a pop-up boutique from, what's Becky's boutique name? Lilac Lily Boutique. We have
Lilac Ivy Boutique.
Lilac Ivy Boutique. My apologies. And then we have a bra fitting from a designer who is
very nice.
Going to be taking her product to the market soon. I'm excited.
That is very much self-care.
Yes.
No matter your size.
Right. And we have, as Shannon mentioned, some amazing, I'm going to say high-end door prizes, because people have been so generous and gracious towards us that we're going to be raffling off. And one grand finale one that I won't reveal now, but it's exciting just to even think about it. I can visualize the day. And the ticket comes with all of this experience and pouring into yourself and getting to connect with multiple other women. And as you mentioned, some of the ones that aren't even on the speaker panel will be in attendance. We've been watching the ticket sales and we can see who's buying the tickets. I believe the CEO of Annie Malone, like there's some powerful women in the room. So it's really great that they're taking time out and they support this vision. It's going to be really powerful. So I'm looking so forward to this.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now tell me a little bit about, so you have the location, but individuals, if they are traveling or even just in the region and they want to stay, there is that option as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
At a discount. What day? It closes on a certain date, though.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, it's gonna, I think, be closed by the time that this airs.
We're gonna bump it up.
However,
We're gonna bump it up.
The Cheshire availability, and our tickets are going to be selling until September 28th on our website, womenunitetoignite.com.
Okay. Now, as we begin to wrap up, I'm telling you, it goes by so fast.
It does.
Oh my God, it goes by so fast. This has been so amazing. You've ignited me. Last words, from both of you, like we on this this platform, we use it as a classroom, so to speak, in regards to individuals understanding that, Rhoda, as you mentioned earlier, like we have what we need.
Right.
We really do. And I close out every show with that saying. But yet there's, we're human, there's ebbs and the flows. And even the women who are on edge about, another women's conference. And I only say that because I was saying the same thing in regards to like, do I really need that? And when I tell you the answer is yes, because of the lack of community that we've had to the pandemic, when I tell you, like, it's almost like we're learning all over again how to show up, right? All over again. And so to be able to be in an environment where it is, I'm not a total fan of the, using the language safe space, but it is safe space that you're providing and a covering so that when the ladies come in, they're ready, they're ready to open to receive, but also the same, vice versa, that you bring that spirit of wanting to do just that, because we're all contributors to the energy in that space.
Yes.
I just want to applaud the both of you, because you've already set the tone. If you don't know that, you have already set the tone, but setting the tone for those who are listening, and whether it's even just the dream part of it and the partnership, like whatever resonates to you in this very moment, if each of you can take just a couple minutes and just speak on a word of wisdom in the nick of time for someone.
In the nick of time, a word of wisdom. I love that. I love that, Nikki. One thing while you were speaking was, I would encourage people to follow their dreams and put legs on their faith, and trust that the universe, the Lord, will put people in your life and in your spaces that can help support you on your journey. This is a pure example of that. And I would encourage people to take those dreams out of their minds and put them into reality, because it was placed in your heart for a specific reason. We heard Shannon speak earlier how the word dropped in her spirit, accept the compliment. And it took her some time to understand why, what's to this. And she stuck with it. And it's a whole movement now. And I see it being a whole podcast, radio show, whatever she desires to take it, because it truly has a healing element to it and can help elevate women. There's a reason why we all walk in this earth. There's 1 in 300 billion chance that you will be born. And if you were born, there's a reason for it. So we should be trying to figure out what that reason is and walking in that purpose so that we can, when we're done and our work is completed here, people will know that we were here.
That's awesome. Miss Shannon?
That's hard to follow. That was really, really good, Rhoda. The legacy that we each leave. My message is that if a woman is interested in talking about this retreat to start with, if they have any interest in it, it tugs at them at all to follow that. It's not selfish to make an investment in yourself. The type of women that are going to be at this event are the type of women that are passionate about connecting and helping lift other women up. One thing we didn't mention is that there's also going to be a drawing for 10 women to come together the first week in November, I think, for just a small event to stay connected, where they'll be able to, they'll have some gift cards to spend some money on some new clothes at the boutique. But and that's just about the retreat. It's just going to be one of a kind. But just in general, that you got to believe in yourself, and you also must surround yourself, even if it's just one or two people that are going to believe in you, because sometimes you'll have self-doubt. And whenever you have the right surrounding and the right support system, you can do anything that you desire.
Absolutely anything.
This has been absolutely amazing. Once again, Rhoda Banks, Shannon Norman, two women who have come together for Women Unite to Ignite. You definitely want to go to the website to learn more information about this upcoming event, but also how to even show your support and or participation this as it grows and moves forward. This is just the beginning. Again, womenunite2ignite.com is the website. This, what you ask, is this exactly a non-traditional women's retreat designed to ignite lifelong connections and genuine fun through facilitation, learning, and bonding experiences. So I right now celebrate you for uniting with me. This has been absolutely amazing. Each of you also, they have their own social platform. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Rhoda Banks. Everything is under Rhoda Banks on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Instagram.
Okay.
And everything on mine is under Shannon Norman or Shannon Norman Coaching. There is a Shannon Norman attorney in St. Louis. That is not me, but active on LinkedIn, Facebook, website, shannonnormancoaching.com.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies, so much for giving us your time.
Thank you, Nikki.
This moment, in this moment. I'm hoping that this won't be the last time that we get a chance to share space in this space. Definitely would want to extend the invitation to both of you in regards to, as things progress, individually and collectively, do let us know on this platform so that we can show support, but also use our platforms to raise awareness and exposure to what you're doing. We have a few people that's following us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nikki.
You are so welcome. And as we close out, I want to just say thank you to each and every one of you in your respected places. Absolutely just blessed to have you with us. And I know without a doubt, there is something that you took away and learned in the nick of time. We want to give a shout out to KSTL Jubilee 690, Bomb Solutions, and our new presenter, Clout, for all your support as you continue to provide that behind the scene, hands up to the back support to keep us going and keep us moving. So until next time, don't forget, you already possess everything you need to be successful. It's just a matter of you pausing and understanding what you need to do to tap into it. So go and live out success as you define it, starting now. Take care.